Hi, this is a video that I'm doing on roughing out timber, half logs. This is going to be I've started off with a gnome straight away, haven't I? I've got to stop doing that. This is going to be a live edge bowl. This is all very loose. It's going to come flying off. So I've got a face mask for it. Again, 3 times. Got a face plate on there. I've knocked the corners off with a bandsaw. That bandsaw there, I've got to say the blade's fantastic. I've got the blade from Tough Saws. Before I replaced the blade, the bandsaw screamed, just doing something like an inch and a half thick, proper screamed the shed down. So I replaced the blade. It's a 3-inch, it's a half-inch 3 TPI. That ripped through like that, like butter. That's nice clean edges, so can't be faulted. But anyway, these couple of videos are going to be less talk and more do. So I'm going to get my face shield on and start rounding this off. Alright, see you in a bit. Got my half-inch ball gouge, face mask on. Checked it to see if it's knocking the tool rest, and it isn't. But it does help if you spin it first by hand before turning it on, so at least your layer's not starting it from scratch or the power needed to do it. So just kick it off. The fastest I can get this up to, that over the top wobbling anyway, is about 320 RPM. So there it goes. Chisel down at 45 degrees. Right, it's approximately round at the bottom, so I now know approximately how far I can, you know what I mean, where it starts, before it starts to curve, before it needs to curve. In fact, no, I'm telling lies. I'm going straight to start off with, so I know how far I need to go down. It needs to go down about that level all the way along to turn round. Let's knock that corner off there, because that's being a pain in the backside. that's going to be about there. Did you hear that? That's why I'm reckon we're in the mask. In fact, if I do that, the banjo's more supported than if you turn it the other way. That way you can get the actual base, the tool rest part of the banjo over the actual bed as opposed to sticking right out the front. You can see better as well. When you're going that way, watch your wrist and your watch against that. Right, the video stops after about 8.5 minutes. I've got to get myself another camera. I keep on telling myself to do that. It's very rough. I'm going to try to smooth that off in a second. Doesn't help with it being wobbly, a little bit damp. I'm not sure where the video ended. I think I mentioned something a bit important. When you're coming along, because it's a live edge, it's a live edge bowl. It's going to be hitting all wood all the way around here, but from there on you're hitting here. So when you're rounding off, you can put quite a bit of pressure on to the wood, or a fair bit of pressure. When you come to there, you don't want to be putting the pressure on that way. When you get to about there, you just want to be dragging the chisel across sideways as opposed to pushing. So you're pushing in, then just drag to the side. Otherwise you'll push in and then the chisel's going to go way too far in. And if you've got a noggin that's still, or a corner that's still here, you end up having a major catch. But I'm going to set it off recording again. I'm going to try to smooth this edge off, but I'm not really that fussed. I've got to shape it anyway a little bit more. But I'm not really that fussed on getting it perfectly smooth, because it's damp anyway. It's wet, it's going to be put in chip-ins and put away. But I'll try to get it smoothish. But I've set it off recording again. Right, I'm chewing at the bottom. I've already marked 60mm, well 30, which makes 60. So the jaws that I'm going to be using for the tenon. So I know that when I'm chewing up, I'm not going to bother going that way. So when I chew it up, I want the tenon sticking out a little bit further, so I don't have to eat away at the actual depth of the bowl that much, or as much. So I'm just going to chew it up. Right, now I'm going to use a parting tool. I know that the chuck jaws that I've got tenon can be up to 15mm long. So I'm going to make it about 12, 13, somewhere around there, so there's a space at the bottom, because that still isn't chewed up yet. So I don't want that affecting the balance when it's put in the chuck. So I'm just going to go with this parting tool to make the tenon. Raise the tool rest up a bit. Test the chuck. Let's open it up a little bit more. Right, I need to take a little bit off. A little bit off the tenon. That's pretty good. That's perfect. And that tenon's a little bit wider than where it needs to be perfect for the chuck. So when I come to chew it up, I've got space then to take it down a little bit more, and it'll still fit in the chuck. Now I'm going to mark out a reference for myself where the foot's going to be. What I'll do is I'll drill a hole in there as well, 15mm deep. Say about that round. About 15mm deep. Ooh. I'm shear scraping because I don't want to jump into the tenon. That's better. Now you can see what I'm trying to do with the lip. I don't know if I go any deeper if that lip is going to withstand it being sharper. I think, to be honest, I've got to tone that down a little bit. So that's going to be a very sharp edge. So I'm going to have to tone that down a little bit. I don't like this either. I prefer it to be more vertical down. So I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take some of this width off the bottom to be able to blend that in how I want it. This is very rough, as expected. It's wet. I've got a sharp chisel. Hopefully when it's dry, I'll put a little sanding sealer on it to stiffen the fibres. Hopefully it should come up a lot smoother than that. Put mask back on. Shield. That is actually all bark, so that'd be an interesting edge. That's bark, that is. Good job I didn't keep on going deeper, otherwise I'd end up with a very severe ridge. That's now got a bubble. Quite like that, actually. More come to think of it. Alright, I think that's the shaping done. So that side tenon's done, foot's done. I'm going to keep that how it is, actually, the width of that. I'm not going to take it down anymore. I do like that. So when I'm hollowing out, it's going to have a slight undercut to it. A slight undercut to it, but not anything real major. So the inside's going to be slightly undercut. I'm going to leave about that much. Going to leave about that much at the bottom, and about an inch thick. In fact, I'll probably leave about an inch and a half, something like that at the bottom, and about an inch at the outside. The time to turn it round. Sorry, I forgot to put it back on record. I've started hollowing a little bit, but I've just realised after about 2 or 3 cups. So face mask definitely on, because I've still got bark here that's loose. Plus any unstable wood. Still on about 620 RPM for now. tenon snapped off. Right, start again. It's a little bit thinner than what it was before, so to re-put the faceplate on, it wasn't absolutely bang on centre, as I didn't think it would be, so I had to trim it down again a little bit to true it up. And it's the same jaws, we're still having the tenon on the outside, the tenons on the inside. I've cut with it turning and used the parting tool to cut a channel about 12mm deep by about 12mm wide, something like that. So if I do have the problem with the tenon again, at least I've also got expansion. And then to save having to chip all this lot even further down when it's finished with the jam chuck, or yeah, some kind of jam chuck, I can then just fill that with milliput and have a black band all the way around, which should actually look better, I think. And all I can say is I'm glad that tenon snapped when it did, when it wasn't turning. Otherwise that would have been a bit more of a disaster. But I've learnt something. That's a technique what I might do from now on. Have a black band, like a signature black band at the bottom, as opposed to that kind of shape. Instead of having that kind of shape, I've like a black band instead. So yeah, here we go. I'm going to get the drill, obviously, take the faceplate off and then start hollowing again. Hope no else goes wrong, eh? I forgot the face mask, face shield. And that's it for now. That is about 22mm, which is less than an inch. Widens out a little bit, it's about 30, so it's around about an inch, and it's about the same thickness all the way through for the wall anyway. The bottom is about an inch above that line, and that line is where the end of the it's deceptive, isn't it, but that's definitely right. So I took it off the chalk and measured it down from the foot, put a ruler across and then measured down, and then did the same on this side to put the line. And the bottom of that, inside there, the floor of the bowl is about an inch, a little bit over an inch above that line, so I've got plenty of meat at the bottom. Looks like a fish, don't it, of some sort, that's mouth wide open. Woo, gonna get you. Quite like this. So yeah, I've now got to wait quite a few months before I can check on it again and see how it's drying. I've checked with a moisture meter. The lowest reading I've got, which is off one of these the side grains, was about 28 to 30, and I've had 40 in some spots, and then where the end grain is on the bottom, it's overload, it doesn't read that high. So I'd say probably about June, July next year I'll check on it with a moisture meter, see how it goes. Doesn't help with it being about an inch thick either, it gives a bit of a false reading. If that was thinner it would probably show about 20, 25 as opposed to 30, 35. But that's it. Now, clean all this mess up. It was a cleanish shed. Adios, and the second part of this video will be in about 8 months' time. Bit of an update, forgot to mention, that's what I meant by that channel that I put in, it's quite deep, and I'll fill that in with milliput. And then that's the bowl righted. Should look quite nice when it's finished. Very deep. Bertha, I think I'll call it. See you next autumn.